Dr. Khurrum Shaukat Yusafzai, Hyperbaric Medical Specialist.
Today's video is about hyperbaric medicine in adventure mountain climbing. So, what is really adventure mountain climbing? Adventure mountain climbing is the sport of climbing the highest mountains in the world, and people go to great lengths to climb these mountains, even when that means walking into their death traps. Adventure mountain climbing is for very tall mountains, which are thousands of meters tall. These mountains are found all over the world, but very special mountains are found at the rooftop of the world because they are really very, very tall mountains. At these heights, the human survival is almost impossible. The rooftop of the world is covered with colossal glacier, always in all the seasons, and there is a very famous glacier over there known as the Siachen Glacier. Pakistan, Nepal, and Tibet and China has all these tall mountains. These mountains serves as the border between these countries, and Pakistan has over 150 mountains over 7,000 meters, and all the world's tallest mountains, known as the 8,000 plus meters tall mountains, which are in the death zone mountains, are all found here in Pakistan and Nepal. So this club of mountain known as 8,000ers are very important in the sport of mountaineering, and to conquer this is a pride among the mountaineers. In order to do that, they spend a lot of money, like hundreds and thousands of dollars, and they risk everything, including their lives. So here is the location of these mountains, as you can see in Pakistan and Nepal. All 14 of them are here in the rooftop of the world. Like, I would explain them one by one. These mountains are also known as the death zone mountains because they are 8,000 plus meters. In the mountaineering, the death zone refers to altitude above a certain point where the pressure of oxygen is insufficient to sustain the human life for extended time span. This point is generally tagged as 8,000 meters or 26,000 feet. The oxygen pressure is less than 356 millibars of atmospheric pressure. This concept was conceived by Dr. Edward Weiss Dunant in 1953, a Swiss doctor who called it the death zone. So all these 14 mountains are in the Himalayas and the Karakoram of Asia in Pakistan and Nepal. Many deaths in the high altitude have been caused because of the effects as I described above. An extended stay above this requires supplementary oxygen, or it will result in deterioration of bodily functions and death. As you can see, The red triangles are the adventurers who died at Mount Everest trying, and the blue ones are the Sherpas who were there to help them. Here are the list of the mountains which are found in Nepal, Tibet and China. There are about 8. 7 of them are in Nepal and Tibet, and the 8th one is in China. The Chinese one is known as Shisha Pangma, and the one in Nepal is the world's tallest Mount Everest, Makalau, Manasalau, Annapurna 1, Kang Changjonga, Dhalguri, Cho Oyo. So these mountains are above 8,000 feet, and you can see them visually as they form the rooftop of the world. Similarly, the 8,000 meter plus mountains are also found in Pakistan, like the K2, the Broad Peak, the Ksybiz 1 and 2. These mountains are 8,000 meter plus, more than 26,000 feet. So these mountains form pride of Pakistan and Nepal, and they are most sought after by the mountaineering community, and the permits for mountaineering are given by Pakistan and Nepal and China for these 14 mountains to be conquered, and very few mountaineers have conquered all 14 of them. In Pakistan, apart from these 8,000 meters plus mountain, there are 157,000 meter mountains in Pakistan, which are practically undiscovered, and very few people have been on top of them, like maybe 1 or 2, literally. The tallest mountain was in Nepal called Mount Everest, but the second tallest is in Pakistan, which is 8611 meters or 28,251 feet. This is also known as the Savage Mountain, or the mountain that tries to kill you. It is considered as the most difficult mountain in the world. To show you the difficulty, 2,000 people have conquered Mount Everest, but only 300 have conquered the K2, and 99 people have died trying to conquer it. So this mountain, although a few hundred feet less than the Mount Everest, is considered the most difficult to conquer, and it's the last mountain on earth of which one side has never been conquered, and practically nobody could have conquered it in winter up till now. So alpine style of climbing is considered as an elite style where no oxygen is taken or no porter is used sometime. So the first man to climb all 14 was Reinhold Andreas Messner, born in 1944. He is an Italian mountaineer, explorer and author, and he made the first solo ascent of Mount Everest along with Peter Hebler, the first ascent of Everest without supplemental oxygen. He was the first climber to ascend all 14 peaks over 8,000 meters, and first to cross Antarctica, Greenland and the deserts, and he published more than 80 books. He received the award from Princes of Austria in the category of sports. He was the first to climb ascent of these mountains individually as well. Gerlinde Carlton Brunner, born 13 December 1970 as an Austrian mountaineer. She was the second woman in 2011 to climb all the 14 peaks, and she did it without the oxygen in the alpine style. And she's only one of the 3 women in the world to do it. And she climbs without the supplemental oxygen as well as the porters, and she did it in 13 years in climbing all these mountains, while the first man did it in 16 years as Andreas Meisner. The next hero is King Kim Chang-ho of Korea, born 15 September 1969. He was the first Korean mountaineer to climb all 14. Kim came to international attention in 2000 when he undertook solo exploration of the Himalayas and the Karakoram Mountains from 2000 to 2004. He virtually surveyed each and every mountain across the Karakoram in Hindu Kush and the Pamir Mountains in northern Pakistan. He walked every mid to large size glacier, crossed numerous passes, investigated and took photos of the mountain's formation, and he was one of the first explorers to do that, or maybe the second one after the 19th century first explorer, and he became a legend until he was killed in 2018 on Dhaulgiri mountain in Nepal. Non-alpine style means using oxygen for climbing the mountains, and this is considered sometimes good, sometimes bad. Good because you avoid the death, and bad because when you run out of oxygen at the height, you are more susceptible to the dangers because of the altitude. So in the sport of mountaineering, the non-alpine style is adopted by a new breed of mountaineers, and because not all mountaineers are alpine style, and this has resulted in many records because of the use of oxygen. And one of them is a woman who actually became the first woman to conquer all the 14 peaks. Her name is Edurine Pasban Lizarribar. She's a Spanish mountaineer. On the May 17, 2010, she became the first woman to climb all of the 14 8,000ers in 9 years. And she did it with the bottled oxygen, and only 3 women have ever conquered the 14,000ers, and she's one of them. The other one did it without the bottled oxygen, as I showed before. So the use of bottled oxygen has produced some interesting mountaineering, and new records have been set which previously were not possible, and some of them are nearly impossible. One of the great mountaineer, his name is Nirmal Purja. He's from Nepal, and he's a British national currently, and with the help of Sherpas of Nepal, he showed the world what is really possible, which the world thought was impossible. And he ended up breaking 6 world records in mountaineering in less than a year. The 14 Peaks Nothing is Impossible documentary by Netflix is dedicated to his story. He showed the world that Sherpas are the best mountaineers in the world. He brought them to limelight. He showed them that they are not ghosts or nobodies, and he made them part of his team to tell the world they are the best mountaineers in the world and they can do what others think is not possible. The mountaineers were Mingma, David Sherpa, Giljin Sherpa, Lakpa, Dindi Sherpa, and Jisman Tamang. However, only Purja would complete the all 14 8,000ers by rotating the Sherpas. He proved the impossible due to his training with the Royal UK Special Services and the hyperbaric medicine he learned in the Royal Navy. He used the High Altitude Center in London for his training to become super fit. Nirmal Purja, MBA. He is born on the 25th of July 1983 and he completed all the 14 8,000ers in the matter of 6 months and 6 days, which is a complete impossible, and he proved it to be possible. He was also the first to reach the summit of all the mountains in Nepal above 8,000 like Mount Everest, Lhotse and Makhalau within 48 hours. He was also able to reach all 8,000ers in Pakistan in matter of 23 days like the K2, Kesherbrum 1, 2 and Broad Peak. And he was one of the first in the world to ascend the K2, one of the deadliest mountains on the planet, in winter. K2, its eastern face has never been conquered so far. Maybe it will also be done. It is so deadly that only 377 people have ever climbed the K2. So why so many deaths on the mountain? What is the reason that so many people die doing this sport of mountaineering? Why people stake so much to do such impossible tasks? It is because of mountain sickness or high altitude sickness. High altitude is defined as 8,000 feet to 12,000 feet, or 2,400 meter to 3,600 meter is considered to be high altitude. The very high altitude is 3,600 meter to 5,400 meter. An extremely high altitude is from 5,400 meter plus. Altitude sickness may occur in up to half of people above 2,400 meter or 8,000 feet. For context, New York City is at elevation of 33 feet above sea level. Denver, known as a mile-high city, sits at 5,000 feet, and Rocky Mountain is at 11,000 feet. But the Mount Everest and K2 is around 2,900 feet. Altitude mountain sickness cause these phenomena: HACE, high altitude cerebral edema; HAPE, high altitude pulmonary edema; HAFE, high altitude flatulence expulsion; DVT and CVT, known as deep vein thrombosis and cerebral vein thrombosis; frostbite, injuries due to extreme cold; icicle injuries, injuries formed due to icicles; carbon monoxide poisoning due to use of stoves for warming; dehydration, dryness of body due to dehydration; nutritional deficiencies because of the high basal metabolic rate requirements; waste disposal, lack of degradation of the waste from humans; and freezing of the IV lines. Role of oxygen and hyperbaric chambers in mountain climbing. Bottle oxygen can prevent haze and HAPE, high altitude cerebral edema, and high altitude pulmonary edema. The bottled oxygen is an ultra light system which is carried by the mountaineers, and as you can see, they wear a mask, and the bottled oxygen is present in a bag like thing which they carry on their back. There is a regulator which regulates the oxygen, and there is a bag, a special light one, which carries the bottled oxygen for the mountaineers. There is a cannula like thing with which they can breathe the oxygen, or to avoid the wastage of oxygen, there is a special mask as well. And the bottled oxygen you can see on the right. Camo bag. Camo bag was invented by Rustam Igor Camo, born November 4, 1935 in Georgetown, DC. He was a former microbiology professor at the University of Colorado and an inventor. His best known inventions, the Camo bag, which he patented in 1990, was for the mountaineers to avoid high altitude or mountain sickness. The second thing which he invented was SUBA, shallow underwater breathing apparatus. He also invented in bionics an orthopedic knee brace. Camo is ultralight hyperbaric chamber actually, which can be operated without the electricity, and the porters carry them on their backs. Usually they are found at the base camps, or maybe at the higher camps, or sometimes near the summit. So when the mountaineers are at the summit, and if they feel difficulty, they can use this Camo bag. So Camo bag revolutionized the sport of mountaineering, and the deaths due to mountaineering reduced, although it did not stop the mountaineers from taking more and more risk, which is part of the sport, and it is as this is very highly competitive sport. Camo bag uses a foot pump to fill it with the air that has only 21% oxygen and 78% nitrogen for simulating a lower altitude to prevent HAPE and haze. It is different than a hyperbaric chamber that it uses air for compression and also feeding to mountaineer in distress. Here are the parts of Camo bag. There is viewports, carry handle, a relief valve, and a zipper for closure, and some straps and buckles, the foot pump as well. So this is a pretty easy and cool construction for a Camo bag. As you can see, a person can go inside the Camo bag by opening the zip, and after closing the zip, they can lie inside, and then the other person operates the foot pump, which raises the pressure inside the Camo bag. After full inflation, it becomes like a big cigar-like thing in which the person can easily lie and save him or herself from the high altitude sickness. It is different from the portable hyperbaric chamber which you are seeing. The portable hyperbaric chamber has a different design and function, although they are both hyperbaric chambers. And the hyperbaric chamber, apart from portable one, the solid one, is also used for saving the lives of the mountaineer when it is found near the mountains in a nearby hospital. Hyperbaric chamber can also be used at the base camp where there is electricity, and this hyperbaric chamber, the portable one, also uses air for filling it up by the compressor, which is operated electrically, and this facility can be provided at the base camp as well as the nearby hospital. It is different than a Gemo bag, as oxygen is fed via mask to a patient that comes from an oxygen generator or an oxygen cylinder. So the differences between the hyperbaric chamber and a Gemo bag. Hyperbaric chamber is different than Gemo bag as it is a healer, while the Gemo bag is actually simulating a lower altitude. Both uses air for compression, which has 21% oxygen and 78% nitrogen. And the hyperbaric chamber can be used at the base camp or a hospital, while the Gemo bag can be taken up till the summit, and it's very lightweight. The hyperbaric chamber can cure HACE, HAPE, HAFE, DBT, CVT, and CO poisoning, while the Gemo bag can treat HAPE and HACE by simulating the lower altitude as well as previously mentioned. At the sites of K2, Nanga Parbat, and Gasherbrum 1 and 2 and Broad Peak in Pakistan, ideally there should be a hyperbaric chamber at Skardu because there is an airport nearby, or maybe at Swat because there is an airport, or Turbela to facilitate evacuation, or even at Islamabad. So here you can see on the map that K2 mountain is very near to the Skardu airport. So if there is a hyperbaric chamber nearby, a lot of lives and limbs can be saved. Similarly, because of the 150 mountains in Pakistan, of which majority of them are situated in Pakhtunkhwa and Gilgit and Baltistan, so hyperbaric chamber at Swat, because there is an airport, or Turbela, is also a good idea to cover Nanga Parbat, Changra, and Toshi R1 mountains of Pakhtunkhwa. It's about time that the Hyperbaric Medical Society should do something about it, and also the people who are doing mountaineering should also wake up to the possibility of life and limb saving. So in Pakistan and even in Nepal, there is no hyperbaric chambers, and this should be addressed by the mountaineering community, and they should decide to have a chamber over there. And it's the responsibility of the government of Pakistan to provide hyperbaric chamber, as it issues permits to the mountaineers. And also the government of Nepal should also look at installing a hyperbaric chamber nearby, so that lives of mountaineers can be saved. In conclusion, Gamma bag and hyperbaric chamber can save lives and also treat the condition associated with the mountains and mountaineering and the high altitude. So I hope you liked my presentation, and I hope you subscribe to my channel for such informative videos about hyperbaric medicine by subscribing and liking the video. So I hope to see you soon, and take care and goodbye.